Money. It's the language of our modern world, right? Yet for so many of us, it feels like we're trying to read a book in a language we were never actually taught. But what if I told you that's not your fault? What if that confusion isn't some personal failing, but a feature of a system that's actually designed to keep you in the dark? Today, we're going to pull back that curtain.
So just think about it for a second. How did you learn about money? For a lucky few, maybe it was a parent who was an accountant carefully balancing the checkbook at the dinner table. Or maybe you had that one amazing fourth-grade teacher who set up a whole class from economy. For most of us, though, if it happened at all, it was purely by chance. And the result of leaving it all to chance? Well, it's a global knowledge gap of truly epic proportions. Two-thirds of adults worldwide can't answer the most basic questions about finance. This isn't just a tiny crack in our understanding, it's a massive, gaping hole. To put that on a global scale, just look at this. 2 out of every 3 people you meet are considered financially illiterate. And this isn't just an American issue or a European issue. Nope, it is a worldwide crisis, and it affects our ability to build stable, secure lives for ourselves.
Okay, so what kind of knowledge are we even talking about here? It really comes down to what Stanford professor Anna Maria Lusardi calls the ABC of personal finance. The absolute basics. Like, do you understand how interest compounds on itself over time? Do you get how inflation slowly eats away at your savings? And do you know why it's so much safer to spread your money across different investments instead of, putting it all in one stock? These are the foundational concepts, and most of the world is really struggling with them. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This widespread illiteracy, it is not an accident. Let's dive into what Professor Lusardi calls the clever system, a system that is actively and very effectively working against our financial well-being. And here it is, the whole problem, laid bare. On one side of the scale, you have a multi-trillion-dollar industry, a relentless machine of marketing, psychology, and technology, all designed for one single purpose, to get you to spend. And on the other side, the tools to help you save? Crickets. The scales aren't just tipped, they're fundamentally broken. As Professor Lusardi puts it, the system is engineered for consumption, not for saving. We are constantly, cleverly, and very effectively being marketed into spending every dollar we have, while the skills for saving and investing are just left for us to figure out on our own. So how exactly does this system maintain that huge knowledge gap? Well, it does it by making personal finance feel completely impenetrable. This is what we call the complexity trap. Let's break down these barriers because they're pretty big. First, money is still a taboo topic. We just don't talk about it, which means we can't learn from each other's successes or failures. Second, financial products, from mortgages to retirement plans, have become incredibly complex, and a lot of the time, that's by design. And third, our biggest financial decisions, like buying a house or saving for retirement, happen so rarely that we don't get a chance to learn from experience. I mean, you don't get to practice buying a house a few times until you get it right. So what happens when a system is designed to be this confusing and inaccessible? Well, the consequences aren't just theoretical. They're real, and they come with a profound human cost.
This probably sounds painfully familiar to a lot of us. Without any guidance, it's so easy to fall into that trap of just paying the minimum on a credit card, not realizing that you're mostly just paying off interest while the actual debt barely shrinks. These aren't foolish mistakes. They're the predictable outcomes of a system that plays on our natural present bias, encouraging us to take the instant gratification now because the future feels so far away and uncertain. And the cost isn't just in dollars and cents. It's in our time and our mental health. Research shows that, on average, people spend 8 hours every single week just dealing with or worrying about their finances. Think about that. That's the equivalent of an entire workday, every week, lost to financial anxiety.
So this is the crucial point. That anxiety, that stress, it isn't a personal weakness. It's a systemic issue. Today, financial literacy is often a privilege, a kind of generational wealth that gets passed down in families that already have high incomes. It's learned at the dinner table, but only at some dinner tables. And this slide shows us exactly who gets left behind. The data is crystal clear. Financial illiteracy is disproportionately concentrated among disadvantaged youth, women, and minorities. This isn't just a knowledge gap. It is an equity gap, plain and simple.
Okay, so the problem is big. It's systemic. But here's the good news. It's not hopeless. The same research that exposes this clever system also reveals a clear path forward.
It's a way to reclaim our financial freedom by shifting our mindset from being a consumer to becoming a keeper of our own wealth. And that solution, it starts early. I absolutely love this quote from Professor Lusardi. It's not about waiting until you get your first paycheck. It's about building that foundational knowledge from the very first moment a child interacts with money. Now, this solution isn't a quick fix. It's a lifelong journey of learning. It has to begin in our schools, making financial education just as fundamental as reading and writing. It needs to continue in college, with courses that empower young adults to take control. And for all of us already in the workforce, it's about employers investing in our financial well-being, a move that honestly benefits everybody. And the impact of this kind of education goes way beyond just one person. Researchers have discovered this powerful multiplier effect. A study in Peru showed that when students, especially young girls, got financial education, they didn't just improve their own lives. They brought that knowledge home, teaching their parents, and completely transforming the financial health of their entire family.
The payoff here is just enormous. On an individual level, it empowers people with what one student brilliantly called FU money. The freedom to say no to a bad job or a bad situation. It dramatically reduces financial anxiety, and on a societal level, it strengthens the entire economy against shocks and creates better informed citizens who can participate more fully in our democracy.
And all of this brings us to the most important question of all. In our own lives, we are the chief financial officer. We're the ones making the critical decisions that will shape our entire future. The research is clear. The system isn't set up to help us succeed. So are we equipped for the job? Well, the first step is realizing you're in a game with hidden rules. And the first step to winning is to start learning them, to become a keeper with a simple blueprint. And the most powerful one? The 70-20-10 rule. Live on 70%, save and invest 20%, and use 10% for debt or fun. That's how you take back control. That's how you start.